Shri Sriram Balakrishnan, partner Ernst Young, is a qualified law graduate and an ACS, and also holds an ACIS from the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators, London. He has played a significant role in GST implementation and compliances for large MNCs. Currently, he serves as the chairman of the Taxation Committee of the SICCI and is a member of the Indirect Tax Committee of the MCCI. In sync with nature, I request our Additional Commissioner, Shri Balakrishna, to welcome Shri Sriram Balakrishnan with a sapling. Thank you, sir. I now invite our third speaker, Shri Sriram Balakrishnan, partner Ernst Young, who will speak on harnessing artificial intelligence in GST, enhancing quality of compliance and reducing litigations.
Good afternoon everyone, and distinguished gathering, Commissioner, Honorable Commissioner, Additional Commissioners, officials from GST Department, thank you all for joining. This is indeed a great moment where we are talking about and we are doing an outreach program on various relevant topics. Of course, as part of this 8th year outreach by the CBIC across the country, certainly we will be talking about the positives as well as what we need to be doing, and we have already got quite a few suggestions about what we need to be doing, aspiring to do, to make GST more easier, tax-friendly, taxpayer-friendly tax compliance and so on and so forth. But as part of the whole thing, what is coming out very clearly is that we have seen in some other presentations also, GST is driven by technology. Okay, so we jokingly talk in circles, our own fraternity, is that we don't care about what the law provides. Does the GSTN accepts it or not? So every time we wanted to understand whether something is possible in GST or not, we don't look at the law alone. We also look at the GSTN. We look at the schema provided in NIC, the schema provided by GSTN, and so on and so forth, to ensure that what we are talking as law is actually translated on the ground through the technology which has been put up by the GSTN and NIC to understand whether some of these are practically possible and so on and so forth. So it is not sufficient that we understand GST law like what we used to do in central excise days, or even for that matter sales tax days. GST is completely out and out technology driven, and I'll talk about few of the initiatives which have been done by the GSTN as well as NIC, and I'll also talk about how artificial intelligence will also play a great role in evolution of the GST to the next stage. So as a reality check, I just want to check anybody, please show by raise of hands. Have you all had at least one instance of dabbling with artificial intelligence? Just raise your hand so that I can understand what's the level of our understanding in AI. Okay. So I could not see many hands rising up, but clearly, So clearly, as we have seen the last 8 years, GSTN, unlike many other portal through which we were doing tax complaint, GSTN is recognized by law. Section 146 recognized GSTN as a portal through which the complaints will be done. So it's a statutory body, so to speak. We had portals through which we were filing in VAT days, in maybe sales tax days, but this is clearly a differentiator. It is a statutory body, GSTN. So GSTN was considered right from day one, from 1st July 2017, through which we were doing the complaints. A lot of back and forth we have been doing, but eventually the system has withstood and has been a major fulcrum through which the complaints has been done, and this kind of mammoth system we have not seen anywhere in the world. This is a system which is working which is generating so much of tax to the exchequer, and it's a most successful system for any other country to learn as to how to do a tax administration through technology. So GST is absolutely a marvelous piece of technology which we have, which is up and running today in the country. So how, okay, on the one hand you have GST, and through which all of the filings go through, how GST has been communicating with people, with the taxpayer. What is the workflow that has been established? If you look at GSTN and the government of India through CBIC came through recognizing players as GSPs, GST Suvidha providers, and there are close to about 40-45 GSPs today who provides the APIs. APIs are the technology way of communicating with two digital platforms. Okay, the APIs are provided through GSPs, and of course there are multiple service providers who provide compliance services on behalf of the taxpayers. So we have all the options available to the taxpayers today through which they can make the payment of tax, through which they can file the returns. So GSPs and ASPs are through which we do the compliances today through various service providers. The APIs are there, SFTP folders through which we transfer the files to the GSTN portals, and offline utilities which are made available in the GSTN portal through which we download, upload some of the returns. Then as an organization, again, we have talked about, Mr. Satish Kumar talked about a huge organization like Hyundai. How do they conduct, how do they set up their own tax processes? How do they comply with some of these tax internal processes to comply with the GST requirements? They do different kinds of setup, and one of the setups happens to be robotic process automation, where they deploy bots to do the compliances. So these are some of the taxpayer side development on technology for doing compliances, which we have seen in the last 7-8 years. And then of course we have NIC, through which e-invoicing, we have representatives who will talk about how they are doing it. And one or two important development which has happened in the recent past, of course, is the 2B being made mandatory from 1st January 2022, where the actual input tax credit is given to you, and that is what you should avail. So that is something which has been made mandatory recently. What is being now emerging as important development is the invoice management system. This is going to go live already from 1st October. It was in a pilot stage. This is going to go live, and this is going to make the entire input tax credit mechanism a very iterative and interactive process between the GST department and the taxpayer, where you have to accept, reject, or keep the input invoices pending, so that later on you can decide whether you want to accept a particular invoice or not. So this is another important development which is under construct, and which will get implemented shortly. So these are the technology related developments which we have seen in the last 8 years in GST. But now what is more important is how AI, artificial intelligence, like a human intelligence today, which is what is driving any functions of tax department, both from the taxpayer point of view and from the GST point of view, how artificial intelligence can really supplement and complement the taxpayers' efforts to do compliance appropriately, and also the tax department's efforts to collect tax correctly. So we will see some of those things. But before we get into the actual use case, I'll talk about little bit about what is artificial intelligence, so that we understand a little bit, and then we move to the next stage where we'll talk about how it is being used today in several tax departments of the organizations. So if you have not heard of this term, Gen AI, which is the recent version of AI, artificial intelligence, which is available in the world. This is one revolutionary technology concept through which you can actually mimic what a human being thinks and do about. Okay. So unlike the past versions of artificial intelligence, Gen AI actually creates, okay, all kinds of output. It can create, audio, video, text, coding, whatever you want, it can create. And this is what is making it so fascinating, that this AI is across all spectrum of economic activity is being used, including accounting, including tax. And this is where through which we are working on most of the international organization as well as today in India also, we are working out so much to see how best we can deploy artificial intelligence to make life simple for us in doing tax compliances. But one important thing which we need to understand about artificial intelligence is it is as intelligent as how we train it. Because we have to train artificial intelligence through data sets. So the training material and the data set through which we train an artificial intelligence is going to decide how intelligent it is or how stupid it is. Okay. So artificial intelligence evolves over a period of time with more and more data sets and more training. It becomes more and more intelligent. If it is less trained, obviously it is not that intelligent. So training is very important for artificial intelligence. And that data set through which you are doing training is also very, very important for it to become very intelligible artificial intelligence. So quickly, this is not a master class on artificial intelligence, but quickly to make you all come up to speed as to what it is. There are large language models which are called foundational models. We'll not try to understand that. But most of you must have heard things like ChatGPT, okay, things like Perplexity, and so on and so forth, where we use those applications to do chatting with whatever query we have with we wanted to know answer for. We do those chatting with these kind of applications. So those are application models. Every organization in the next 1-2 years will have their own kind of application model to choose with whom they are going to work, including tax departments, where they will work with some of the application models, or at least use the third-party application model so that they will be able to apply artificial intelligence in their compliances. Prompt engineering is another important terminology. It's a subject by itself. How do you question? What question you make to a ChatGPT? What question you make to any of the application model which you have today will determine again what is the output you are going to get. If you want a better answer, you will have to ask a better question. If you are asking a question which is not well founded, then the answer will come not to your expectations. And we have seen some of the instances happening in some of the recent developments. I'll talk about it. So prompt engineering is very important. Prompt is nothing but question. How do you question? What kind of methodology you should adopt for questioning particular in a chat application? And there is going to be a separate prompt engineering which will get developed. And there is going to be a separate prompt library which will act as a future reference material for you to know what will be the kind of best questions you can ask in a particular subject or a topic. So unlike the past artificial intelligence or data analytics, Gen AI is going to be much different. It is going to create the answers for your questions, not based on extraction of the past data, but by applying intelligence and coming out and giving you a version of reply, which will be almost equivalent to a human intelligence response. Okay, so that is going to be the Gen AI aspect of the artificial intelligence. But like any technology application, to start with, we will have multiple limitations in its usage. You will have to be very responsible in using an artificial intelligence application while you are doing serious business. You cannot be very casual about it. So I talked about training data, what kind of training data you use to train that particular application. Most importantly, there is a concept called hallucinations in artificial intelligence, where if you keep asking a particular question to the artificial intelligence application, it can start hallucinating, okay, and start giving you replies which are non-existent, which are fictitious in nature. Okay, this is pretty dangerous. This will be eliminated as you keep training and as you keep asking a very appropriately structured question. But we have already encountered this kind of hallucination even in judiciary in the case of a particular appellate tribunal in ITAT, income tax case, where ITAT passed a judgment with case laws which are fictitious in nature, and we saw that in one particular case, which were never existing. And they rendered the judgment, and eventually we figured out that there was no such cases which have been pronounced. And it was pointed out, and ITAT went back and then revoked this particular judgment because it was not well founded. But what I wanted to tell you is that if it is not properly applied, it can throw up all kinds of wrong answers. So it has to be properly and responsibly be applied. Recently, also in one GST related issue, where the issue was in the case of Indian Medical Association, where Kerala High Court pronounced the non-constitutionality of the mutuality of interest related taxability. It was a very long winding judgment, and actually the operative portion of the judgment in para 23 actually strikes down that particular amendment in section 7, and then it says that mutuality of interest, wherever there is there, it cannot be taxed under the retrospective amendment, which was effected some time back. But the point there is, when we use this artificial intelligence to summarize this particular judgment, it actually gave a different version. It said that the constitutionality of that particular amendment was upheld. This was the summary which was given by the artificial intelligence application. We were wondering, because para 23 says that it is struck down for the appropriateness, whereas the summary of that artificial intelligence gives something else, contrary to what it is. Okay. So we were trying to understand. The best part about artificial intelligence is that it doesn't have any ego. Okay, unlike a human, where it makes a mistake, you go and tell them that you make a mistake. We will not accept it. So we went back and asked the same application. We said, you have given me a wrong summary. Do you think it's right? Did you see para 23? Then it accepted the mistake. It came back and gave a explanation why it committed that mistake. It said that, look, the entire flow of arguments are all to make it valid. Okay, and I got carried away because the up to para 22 everything was talking about a different version, and it also gave a version called lost in middle concept, where it said, I looked at all the previous paragraphs, I looked at all the later paragraphs, para 23 alone I didn't look, whereas the main content was in para 23, so I got lost in middle. So it was able to recognize where it committed the mistake, and it also gave a suggestion that next time onwards, when you are asking me a similar question, please tell me that, please summarize a conclusion, then I will be able to better understand and give you a better version of my output. So best part about artificial intelligence that you can probe it further and further, it can give you better output as compared to the earlier version. So essentially what we need to understand is, it has its own limitations, but that is why artificial intelligence cannot replace quickly the human being. It is going to take time. We are going to supervise artificial intelligence, and it's not going to replace. Okay. Sorry. So the difference of artificial intelligence, Gen AI I talked about. Artificial intelligence per se, the older versions used to predict a value based on what historical data and gives you future data. It can predict estimations. It can give you estimation based on a version given in the past to the current version, and so on and so forth. It can identify the category to which a particular transaction, like a general ledger account for a particular transaction, can be classified. There are multiple aspects which can be done by the past versions, but the current version, which is Gen AI, it can give you intelligent answers. It can browse through various texts and give you a summary. And it can give you a kind of output, which is almost giving you, for example, if you give a judgment and if you ask me, give me a summary, if you give you a summary, like these days you find most of the summary generated by AI in some of the applications like TIOL or Tax Sutra and so on and so forth. You can get a AI summary separately in that particular application. So it is much, much advanced. So in the arena of tax, artificial intelligence is going to play a tremendous role. We will see some of those use cases. I have talked about it. So as tax professionals, today we are in stage 2, where we are using some querying to the artificial intelligence. We are not actually supervising it. We are trying to use it as a complement to our function. But in future, what is expected is that artificial intelligence will be the main driver of the compliances, and a human being will be supervising that. In fact, there is a concept of AI agents, which if it comes fully, the AI agents will do end-to-end compliance, starting from extracting data from your ERP systems till it is uploaded, downloaded, tax paid, generated tax challan. Everything will be done by artificial intelligence, but supervised by a human being. So that is the expectation for the future. So as a tax professional, today people executing process powered by technology and data to technology powered data executing processes managed by people asking questions and reviewing. So the role is going to shift. As a tax professional, we are not going to sit and do the computations. We are not going to do the preparations. It is all going to be done by AI, but we are going to only supervise it. So I talked about prompt engineering. Better the question, better the answer I talked about. There was a question put forth before one of the applications. It said, will Gen AI be able to run a tax department better than humans in the future? The answer is given by Gen AI itself. In that, if you look at the last highlighted portion, therefore, I don't think Gen AI will be able to run a tax department better than humans in the future, but rather it will be a valuable tool that can augment and enhance human capabilities. Okay, this is the first version of the prompt. Okay, this is the first version of the prompt. Take the second version of the prompt. It's a different question. How will tax be collected in a fully AI-enabled world? Okay, this is the prompt. For this, it says, as a tax collector, AI systems would be able to provide tax advice and guidance to taxpayers using techniques such as natural language generation, chatbots and voice assistants. As a taxpayer, if you look at here, AI systems would have legal personality. I talked about AI agents. They are saying it can have legal personality and rights, as well as obligation and liability similar to human beings or corporations. So it can do everything and it will be recognized almost equivalent to a human being, and it can be also recognized as a personality for the purpose of fixing liabilities. So now we get a different answer as far as the taxpayer artificial intelligence application is concerned compared to the earlier prompt which we looked at. So this is how prompt can change the response of an artificial intelligence application. So we have to create over a period of time prompt library. We have just created few. I just wanted to show those screens. Okay. So essentially what is that we can, as a tax function, both from the department point of view and from the taxpayer point of view, use features of artificial intelligence. So 3 features I consider very important are: it can chat, it can create, it can compute. These 3 features, if you are able to use in our application, then we should be able to do an artificial intelligence based end-to-end compliance, seamless compliance in our organizations. Some of the use cases I talked about, I'll not take more than 2-3 minutes. Litigation audit assistance. This is one big area where I'm seeing revolution is happening as far as application of artificial intelligence is concerned. From the department point of view, from the taxpayer point of view, you get a notice, what are the validation you can do through AI? You get an order, what are the validation you can do through AI? We'll talk about it. When you are making submission, what are the submissions you can make? What are the inputs you can get from artificial intelligence? That also we'll talk about. And then, of course, research assistance. Multiple databases are there in the country. How do we use AI to summarize, get the optimal level inputs for our case? That is the most important aspect which we are working on in getting the repository navigator. Customs HSN classifier. This is the most complex one today everybody is facing. Artificial intelligence can really make it very simple for you. I'll talk about it a few seconds about it. Then redaction module and prompt library I talked about. So some of the, I'll just skip this slide. Some of the use case on notice and order validating. The moment you get a notice, okay, you put that notice in a application, AA application. It will tell you, because depending upon what validation you are fixing in that particular application, it can tell you whether it pertains to which financial year, the date of issues, whether within the time limit, whether DIN is there in the application, digital signature is there properly affixed, whether the notice is issued within the time limit, whether this time limit given to respond is as per the law, and then it can compute penalty, it can compute interest, and late fee checks, everything it can compute. We have, as far as we are concerned, we have done close to about 60 validations. The moment a notice comes, we can validate in a matter of few minutes, and then say these 60 parameters are either complaint or non-complaint. In future, what we are working is, we are working to get the issues sorted out, categorized. Then we also are working to make artificial intelligence to actually send out emails to the departments, translate notices from Hindi to English and vice versa, so on and so forth. So multiple applications we are currently working to make life easier for the taxpayer. Okay. Submission. So after you get the notice, multiple communication you do with the department, letters and declaration, multiple declarations you file with the department. You file adjournment letter, letter requesting interest on delayed refund, letter of authority, GST refund. So all kinds of communication you make, all of these will be done by AI. Replies to notices, whether it is within 73, 74, within the time period, reply to ASMT assessment orders, and then reply to show cause notices, the audit report issued under Section 65. All of these are automated. All that you need to do is feed your notices, it will generate. And then you sit and do a review of these things so that there is no hallucination impact on the output of these applications. Similarly, what we are working is, we have huge database everywhere. Last so many years of case laws, research, it's all available. Book, materials are available. You connect all this material and then train the AI. It will be, what you will get as an output from such a application will be much, much better than what as human being we are preparing as a response to notices and orders. So we are working on all of these things, and we believe that these are going to be future for doing litigation related assistance. Again, refunds, whenever you file refund, you'll have to give multiple information. FARC data needs to be extracted, create an export register, purchase register, bills of entry, GST, everything will be extracted and given to you for you to file an application. So life is made very, very simple. Complaints also we have noted down, particularly RCM computation and ITC determination, eligible, ineligible. AI will tell you. You feed AI with all the material, with all the research, it will tell you whether a particular input tax is eligible or not. Okay. You can do a balance sheet P&L analyze, check whether some of the items which are there in P&L, which are not reported in GSTR1, whether they need to be paid tax for. So some of those aspects, what otherwise you will not be doing, if you put artificial intelligence, it will do and tell you whether your GSTR1 and 3B are fine or not after doing a review. Reconciliation is a major issue now. So the moment you get a reconciliation done, 2B, PR versus 2B reconciliation, you get a response, you know the comment, you had the comment into as part of the PR. After getting the comment, you run it through an artificial intelligence, it will give you a very, very different output with all the linkages. So use cases are tremendous. I have just showed you very, very few use cases. There are at least hundreds of use cases on complaints we are working on. I talked about HSN classifier. The moment you give a description of a particular item or you give a HSN, okay, it will give you what product gets fitted in that HSN. Or if you give a description of the particular product, you can give a technical write-up, you can give a legal explanation about a particular product. It will fit you, give you the appropriate HSN after considering all the material available, including case laws, HSN, WTO material, all those stuff. Because everything is being fed and everything is being trained. So finally, so what is that we are trying to do? What will happen to different kinds of taxpayers? There will be typically three kinds of taxpayer: large taxpayer like Hyundai, medium-sized taxpayers and small taxpayers. Not everybody can create an artificially enabled tax departments. So large taxpayers will be given AA, will work on AA-based tax functions in their organization, which will definitely do ease of doing business, compliance and litigation for them. Medium-sized taxpayer like today, they will all work with the third-party applications. There are n number of organizations which are working on creating tax libraries, tax compliances with embedded artificial intelligence. So all of you medium-sized companies will most likely then not work with them in getting their compliances done, so that it is not only compliant but also it is done with ease and not with difficulty. Small size taxpayer, of course, will not have the wherewithal to use any of the above two options. So I expect GST and I expect NIC, I expect CBIC to come out with a utility which is AA-enabled utility, so that when they do the compliances, they get the advantage of AA-based inputs. So in the next 2-3 years, I expect this kind of development in the taxpayer community, how they use artificial intelligence in attending to their complaints and their litigation. So with that, I think I'll wind my session. Thank you so much for the opportunity. But before I part, so there is a statement by Harvard Business Review: AI won't replace humans, but humans with AI will replace humans without AI. So it's imperative that AI cannot be disregarded or cold-shouldered. It has to be embraced as part of our lifestyle, as part of our tax department functioning. Thank you so much.
It's now I request our Commissioner to present a memento to our dignitaries and esteemed speakers of the day. Shri Sriram Balakrishnan, Partner, Ernst Young.